Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio NFL Closing Time Betting Show for Sunday, December 27th. Ian Cameron, Skee Profit, and Connor Mack with you. Hope you shake off that Christmas hangover, turkey, ham, whatever, any other food you have on Christmas, drink. You've shaken it off and you're ready to cap some NFL football with us here on this Sunday. We're ready to get into it. Week 16. We just have 2 weeks left in the regular season. Let's dive right into it. We'll go starting in rotation order and by order of start time. So we'll start with Cleveland taking on the New York Jets, the now no longer winless New York Jets after their shocking victory against the Rams last week as 17-point underdogs. Cleveland 6.5 point road favorites here, 44 the total. In this game, we have seen a lot of Jets money and a lot of under money because this was around 9.5, 10 on Cleveland and 47.5 the total earlier in the week. And it's all a reaction to the big news from Cleveland. They had a positive COVID-19 test. 3 of their top receivers, if not their 3 top receivers, out due to contact tracing today for the Browns. Jarvis Landry, a no-go. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's come on like a freight train, as a target for Baker Mayfield. In recent games, he's out. Rashard Higgins, who's been consistent week in and week out. So all of a sudden, you've got a very depleted receiving core today for the Browns. However, they've still got Chubb, they've still got Hunt, they've still got a pretty bad Jets defense, including against the run. So maybe you can just hand it off and still have a lot of success today running the football if you're the Browns. You know, I understand the 3 absences here, but there are a couple of teams that had these big, huge, shocking wins. The Jets are one, the Bengals are one. I'm not necessarily looking for these teams to build off those games. I'm looking for them to bounce off those games. So at 6.5 now, at a deflated number after all this Jets money's rolled in, I don't love it because of the absences, but I think there is value now in Cleveland, minus 6.5 here. I just don't trust the Jets to withstand prosperity, if you will, and keep it going after that after that win, I should say, to the Rams last week. I do lean over the total because the Jets offense with Darnold and Perriman and Crowder, I've talked about this before, with the receiving core fully healthy, the Jets have found ways to be able to move the football. So I lean Browns and I lean over the total, but they're lukewarm opinions. What do you see in this one, C-Mac? We'll start with you, Browns, Jets.
Yeah, I like the Browns as well. The injuries have really been killer. Because before this, I liked the Jets. But what they say, 3 of those guys haven't caught a pass all year. Now that it's down to 6, I still like them. I can't get to the window with it. I'm a little different. I think they're going to run it. They could cover this, but I like the under here, 44. I mean, it could go over. I just think they run the ball, like you said, run it. I don't love the Jets. They are better. I think they kind of played the game of their life, the game of the season, as we say, last week. And I look towards the under and the Browns, but I don't know about the 6, but I did take a piece of the under 44.
All right, liking the under a little bit, Connor. Skee, anything for you with Browns Jets?
Yeah, I agree. Earlier in the week, I was looking towards the Jets. And so if you like Cleveland, like you said, Ian, it's value on that side now. But I probably would just look more towards the total. It's kind of tough to look at the under because, like Ian mentioned, Jets, they've been scoring. They scored 23 points, I think, 4 out of their last 6 games. And it's just a matter – I think Cleveland can control the pace of the game if they're able to run the ball successfully because I think that's what they're going to try to do. So I lean towards the under, just thinking it's going to be a lot of running from the Cleveland side, and it's not something I feel super strong about.
All right, a little bit of a lean in that direction for Skee. On we go, Cincinnati, Houston. Houston, 7.5 point home favorites here, 45.5 the total in this one. Cincinnati, look, I've seen this before with these teams that pull the huge upset and then they fall completely flat. And there's a stat that bears that out. Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure this is correct. I'm pretty sure. Teams that had a double-digit underdog, outright upset win, and actually Jets are one of those teams against the Browns, and we've got it here with the Bengals. What were they, 14-point underdogs Monday night against Pittsburgh? They win outright.
Yeah.
These are a double-digit dog, win outright. You know what they are the next week since, I think, 1996? 0-9-1 against the spread the next game. 0-9-1. Not a single point spread cover in that spot. That's the Bengals today, and that's not the only reason to bet against them. And I am on Houston here. I actually got -7, 7.5 now is still okay for me. I don't trust them after that kind of win. When you pour in all that emotion, all that you could tell they were up to beat Pittsburgh last week. They were. Yeah. I think Ryan Finley running with the football. Mike Tomlin said after the game, we didn't expect that. We had no freaking idea, essentially, that they were going to run Ryan Finley as much as they did. Houston's not going to be fooled by that. So if they go to Ryan Finley, he's going to run the football a little bit route. I think Houston's going to be better prepared for it than Pittsburgh was. Cincinnati still has injuries on defense. Pittsburgh's offense is, I don't want to say it's broken, but they're clearly having issues right now with that offense. And the one thing you can say about Houston, in spite of losing guys at receiver, despite not having a consistent ground game throughout the season, they haven't been able to run the football at all, Houston. Deshaun Watson has found a way to still be able to be productive. The next receiver steps in, he finds them down the field, makes plays. Kiki QT is a perfect example. I think from a props perspective, we were talking off air. Kiki QT is a guy that has definitely stepped up, and Deshaun Watson has made plays with him down the field in the passing game. I think he's going to have a big imprint on this game today. And more than anything, after Cincinnati had that huge win, they were just joyous after the game winning that one. But they're still a team that's had a rough season, traveling on a short week. This just has flat lay an egg written all over it to me. I'm not saying it'll happen, but I believe it could. And Houston can run away with this one here. And in spite of their defensive flaws, and we know Houston has them, this is a step down in class for them. They have played a lot of good offenses. They played the Colts a bunch. They played KC. They played Baltimore. They played Pittsburgh when Pittsburgh's offense was still pretty good at the time. They've played some really good offensive football. Chicago's resurgent offense the last few weeks, and they played Chicago when Chicago offensively has been a lot better now than they were earlier in the season. So Houston's caught a lot of good offenses. I can't say Cincinnati is that. So I'm laying the points here. C-Mac, what do you think? Bengals, Texans.
I'm with you. I just don't like the hook. If this was under a touchdown, I like it a little bit better. And you're right. Deshaun Watson, I mean, ever since college, everything, he can keep you in a game, cover a spread like nobody else. If he's on the field, I like it. That's why I always like backing him, especially if he's getting points. Always love. Even the Texans that are decimated. Their defense still has holes, but they played better. Cunningham's leading the league and tackles. That guy's been pretty good. Linebacker for him. The Bengals, like you said, just played the game, of the year. They were up for it. Huge game Monday night, all the lights on them. And Finley, yeah, like you said, Mike Tomlin couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Ryan Finley was running the ball like that. It was crazy. I didn't bet this one. I lean the Texans, like you said. I just don't like the hook. If it's under a touchdown, I like it a little bit more. So, and the total, nothing on there. 45.5, nothing either. Under, over, no real feel on that. So, lean the Texans.
I did a little go pack go in the chat for Razor because I know he's a big Packer fan.
Yeah.
He came for
big game
Sunday
tonight.
We're on the live betting show stream, by the way, tonight on this channel for Sunday Night Football. So watch him completely, biting his fingers or whatever he does in terms of whatever nervous habits he has when his team plays. You'll see them tonight on the air with the Packers.
Yeah. He's got a tap.
Yeah. What do you think, Skee? Cincy, Houston.
I've been saying no Burrow, no Bengals, and I think it could be a letdown spot as well. Bengals are not a team that's going to get after the quarterback. I don't think they have a lot of sacks on the year, and if they just giving Watson time to throw, or he can even get out and run. So I definitely like getting the better quarterback and the Texans. And I agree that they did have a tough schedule. I mean, the first 3 games were really tough out the gate, and they've been losing pieces, but he still found ways to put it together. So I trust Watson more than I trust Finley. I look at this Bengals team; they haven't really been putting up a lot of yards passing. And last week, even though they got the win, I think they only had 78 passing yards. So I would have to go with the Texans. And yeah, we talked a little bit off air. I need Kiki QT. Probably I'm going to play him in fantasy, so maybe you can look towards him to do something big today.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I definitely think touchdown scoring prop, receiving yards, receptions, all 3 of those, I'd look that way when it comes to Kiki QT. Indy and Pittsburgh, we got a really good game here in the early window here with this one. Pittsburgh pick 'em. A lot of money coming in on the Steelers. They were 1.5 point, or Colts, I should say, were 1.5 point favorites on the road. Pittsburgh then flipped to a favorite. And actually now we're starting to see Indy start to go back to being the favorite. So we've got a big tug of war going on with this point spread. Back and forth we go. Indy -1 now in some spots. The total down to 42.5. I certainly got a good number on this game under the total. 45, 44.5, I believe is what it was. I mean, I got to bet unders with Pittsburgh till they show me some semblance of an offense. I mean, that was the last straw for me. You could barely move the football and you're giving up a couple sacks. You can't complete passes against Cincy's defense. That's troublesome. And short passing game is all it is right now with Ben. That's an issue. Can't run the football at all. Drop passes continue to be an issue. Penalties, false starts, holding. You're seeing a lot of that now with this Steelers offense. Colts defense, I've said, has been overrated most of the season. I understand that, and I still think they're a good defense. They're not a great or an elite defense like some people made them out to be. But they faced a lot better offenses that are in better form lately than what they're going to face today. So I think Pittsburgh's going to be tough sledding again, moving the football. But the other part to this under is there's some issues with the Colts offense. How about both of their starting tackles, left tackle, right tackle, including Anthony Costanzo, who is one of the best left tackles in the NFL. He's not going to play today for the Colts. So you got both of your starting tackles out. You got an immobile quarterback in Phillip Rivers against one of the better defensive fronts in the NFL, Pittsburgh. How do you think that might end up today for the Colts? I don't see them moving this football up and down the field today with offensive line injuries, especially to both tackles. That's an issue when you got a guy like Phillip Rivers standing behind center. I think we have a lower scoring game. As far as the side is concerned, I don't know if I trust Pittsburgh to win the game, but I do have Pittsburgh in some teasers today at +7.5. Tease them up. I don't think they get blown out here, especially after 3 straight losses. I don't think Indy's going to roll them. Indy has played a lot of close games lately as well. So I think Pittsburgh's a really good teaser. I lean to the Steelers, but not enough to bet them. I did like the under, but the number's gotten away. So unfortunately, as of right now, not a whole lot unless you take the Steelers on a teaser. That would be probably the best way to go, in my opinion. Connor, what do you think here? Good ones, Colts and Steelers.
Yeah, there should be. I mean, the Steelers, I thought they were just a fraud, at 11-0. And we saw it. I didn't think any of their wins were that good. But I don't think they're as bad as they are right now. The defense has leaked. They can't run it. You're right. And I've been off the Colts. I think they're okay. I think they're 10-4. They're just solid, like we talked about. I think they got a better than average defense. And I'm a hater kind of both these old quarterbacks, and Rivers has got the toe problem. You talked about the offensive line. That was so, started every game last year as got banged up. That's hard to do, going into this year. I don't really like the side. I like your teaser. I have that on a few. I think that's a good one. I think the Steelers at home, you get them 7, 7.5, even 6.5, depending on your 7-point teasers. I like the over here now that it's dropped. I'm going to see if it gets to 42. I just think it's low enough that this creeps over just a little bit. And it might not. This could be lower like you were talking about. I mean, this is a good one. But for some reason, I think this gets over the 42. I want a 42, but it's okay at 42.5. But when it was like 46 when it came out or 45, I agree with you. I would have leaned under. But now that it's fallen this far, I'm looking over here. I think this can creep over. All we need is a 23-20. So we'll see. Good one. I can't wait to see it. These old guys get at it. These old bums.
These old bums. Well, they're playing like old bums, right? Well, not Rivers. I shouldn't say that. Rivers played really well actually lately. Ben is reverted to an old bum the last few weeks. But yeah, you've always got turnover. I think there's turnover potential here. Rivers against this really good defense, and I think he's going to be under pressure. He's always good for a turnover in spots like this, defenses like this. And Ben's been turning it over a lot more lately, and that could set up short fields. So that could help you if you like the over. Skee, where do you stand? Colts, Steelers, what do you like?
I think missing starting tackles is a big deal. And also, I kind of was leaning towards an under, but with the number dropping and just thinking that, Steelers, they're not good running the ball anyway. The Colts run defense is good, but the Colts pass defense is not great. Steelers, maybe it's Ben can get right versus Colts secondary. So maybe I lean towards more points now that it's getting lower. It's just a matter of what can the Colts do. I think the Steelers can get after a quarterback, and if Rivers feels pressure, he's not going to do good. He's either going to turn the ball over or just not do well. So I lean towards the Steelers. I agree. It's a good teaser spot. You can get through some key numbers, and maybe I have a slight lean towards the over.
All right, slightly in here a little bit towards the over. Big show picks. Thanks for the good luck. You too as well on this NFL Sunday. Chicago, Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville may need some good luck in this game. We've got Chicago -8, total 46.5. And look, shame on the Chicago Bears if they don't come out and wallop this Jacksonville team today. Because you've got, first of all, Chicago's got new playoff life thanks to Arizona losing to San Francisco yesterday. The Bears now win out, and they're in the playoffs. They win their last 2 games, Chicago. They're a playoff team. So they're taking the field knowing that today. Look, we got to give this offense credit. Bill Lazor, the play caller, I think his input has made a difference. What they're doing is they're playing to Mitch Trubisky's strengths. They're letting him run. He's getting outside the pocket. For some reason, they had this guy in shotgun. They had this guy in a regular formation for the first half of the season, not using his athletic ability. Now they're letting him bootleg, throw outside the pocket, run with the football. And since they've started calling plays that way, it hasn't taken a rocket scientist to figure out. It puts Mitch Trubisky in a better place for success. And we're seeing that. They get a first down. They also run to the line of scrimmage and snap the next play. They're a tempo team now, especially when they get a couple of first downs. The receivers now, he's got making more plays down the field because he's running more, and I think that's taken a lot of the pressure off of him throwing the football because now opposing defenses have to respect his running ability. That means that's going to loosen up coverage down the field against receivers, and you're seeing that now. Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney and even Anthony Miller starting to make plays down the field in the receiving game for Mitch Trubisky. It's just a completely different Bears offense. They've scored 30+ in pretty much every game the last 3-4 weeks. They should get to that. They should be a Charles Barkley guarantee for 30 points here in this game. Of course, now that I said it in the Charles Barkley guarantee tone of voice, they'll score 6 points today. You can just basically watch that happen, I'm sure. But no, they should have a huge day offensively here against this Jacksonville team. And if you see the things that are going on with Jacksonville this week going into this game, it really gives you a hint of, do they really tank for Trevor is on, and maybe this number 1 overall pick. Now that they've had the inside edge after Jets winning last week against the Rams, James Robinson's not playing, and he could have played. If this was a game where they're still in the playoffs, James Robinson is good enough to play health-wise, but they said, precaution, we're going to keep him out. We're going to go to Mike Glennon instead of Gardner Minshew at quarterback. That tells me right now that Jacksonville might have one eye toward, you know what, let's look toward our future. But again, the argument is the players don't care about that. The players are playing for today. They don't know if they're going to be on this Jacksonville team. Who the hell cares if we get Trevor Lawrence? I may not be here next year. I don't think the players care, but, coaches make decisions sometimes. Management sometimes makes decisions. Doug Marrone shouldn't care either. Like if Doug Marrone is coaching this game like tank for Trevor, it's not going to be around to see Trevor, after this season, in my opinion. So it makes no sense for Marrone to be going along with this. But to me, it doesn't look like a Jacksonville team that I trust. Certainly I don't trust them defensively. Now I'm not so sure I trust them offensively. Without Robinson, Glennon, who wasn't very good in his last start against this Chicago defense. So early in the week, I loved the over in this game because I've been riding Chicago overs quite a bit. And I still lean that way, but I pivoted a little bit. Once this Jacksonville news started to come out, I laid the points with Chicago, 7.5. It's up to 8. Still like Chicago. And I like Jacksonville's team total maybe under because I worry about them doing enough of the scoring here to help this game get over the total. I really do. I don't think Chicago's going to have an issue. They can get 30-35 in this game, if at least in my opinion. It's what do you get from Jacksonville? So I got a little over bet, Chicago minus the points, and a little bit on Jacksonville team total under. I'm trying to cover all my bases here. Connor, what do you think? Jaguars and Bears?
Yeah, right away, talking about the total, I lean towards the over. Just the Jags defense is so bad, and the Bears have been scoring lately. But I pump the brakes. I mean, I like it. You could tease it down, but I like what you got. I'm not going to lay it here at the Bears. They should get it done. They got everything to play for. The Jags don't. But you talked about, it's kind of like the Jets. These teams need to lose, but it's not what the front office wants that. But sometimes these players, they play hard. They're on the field. You know what I mean? Compared to what the front office does. So I don't know. The Jags played hard all year. I'm going to lay off. I liked it. I took it in a teaser. This is one of the better teaser spots, I thought. Just Bears to win the game for sure was one of the better teasers I liked here. You get a -1, 1.5, just win the game. I still lean the over. I just think the total's a little bit low. You get a 46.5. I lean that way as well. Yeah, Robinson's out. Montgomery has a day. And I like I said, even with Trubisky, they should have had him in along. The whole Foles experiment was bad. You know what I mean? Even with Trubisky, they won. Now they're winning again. And you'll get the bad with him, but at least he's throwing it around. Yeah, he'll throw pick. Like the offense is a lot different, like you were saying, Ian. It's just it just moves better. I mean, it was so stale with Foles, and I bet some of those games. God damn, that pissed me off. I mean, it was bad. So Bears got everything here. I just don't want to lay 8.5. I'll tease it, and I lean the over 46.5.
I'll say this about Matt Nagy. He clearly wasn't play calling this offense to Mitch's strength, and that was an issue. Bill Lazor is, and he had the guts to say, you know what, maybe I've got to relinquish play calling duties, let someone else who maybe sees it through a different lens call some plays. And since Bill Lazor has done it, it's been a different offense. And at least I give Nagy credit for doing that, having the guts to say, you know what, the offense isn't working with me calling plays. See if someone else can do the job. Maybe that's going to spark something, and it truly has. So that's the one thing I'll give him credit for, but I still don't think he's been a great coach here this year and with the Bears in general, in my opinion. Skee, what's your thoughts here? Jags, Bears.
I see one team with motivation for something to play for, and one team that looks like they just really don't care. They actually probably rather lose the game. So I'm going to go with the team that has the motivation. I agree with the line move. I mean, I don't love laying so many points with the Bears, but it's hard to see them kind of not blowing Jaguars out today. So I like them minus the points. And on the total, I don't trust the Jags defense versus anybody. And Chicago's been playing more towards overs, in my opinion. So I like points and Bears.
Yeah, I'm staying on the full game over. It's just that I'm that's why I added Jacksonville team total under, because I know if one team is going to cost me the full game over, it's going to be Jacksonville's offense. I don't think it'll be Chicago. Chicago should have a huge day here in this one. And by the way, remember we talked weeks ago, for many weeks, that Jacksonville, it's hard to bet against them because they're in every game. Well, that's kind of tailed off the last couple of weeks.
Hit and miss. Yeah.
Losses by 21 plus points the last 2 weeks against Baltimore and Tennessee. So reality is sinking in. This is a bad football team. And they gave good effort for a while there, but now the last 2 weeks they've been blown off the field. And I think they're probably in some trouble today too.
Yeah, real quick, guys. Let's get to Sebastian's question here. I think 3 is not enough. I'd want the Bengals if you're going to like 14.5. He's a question, would you take the Bengals plus 10? What do you guys think?
No, because I worry. I honestly think they could lose by more than that. So, yeah, I wouldn't want the Bengals on the teaser. I want Houston on a teaser. Houston's the teaser option for me in that game because you can get them down to -1.5. I've already got Chicago on a couple teasers down to -1.5 as well. Great. So those are some good TJ options. DJ Big Boss, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. But Giants and Ravens as we move on down the card. Baltimore 9.5 point favorites here, 43.5 the total in this game. The betting markets may be seeing what I'm seeing here. Giants as a road underdog have been excellent. They really have. And as I know, Baltimore's rolling right now. They're playing excellent football. There's no denial. They've gotten over their COVID-19 issues and they look healthier. They're playing better. The offense is starting to get going. The defense has had some injuries, particularly in the secondary, but even they are starting to come together and play better for this Ravens team. But still, you're laying a lot of points here. The Giants have been in a lot of games. They haven't been blown out a ton. And, of course, they get Daniel Jones back. But I want to caution everybody. I know Daniel Jones is coming back. That's significant because he's clearly better than Colt McCoy. But I still don't know if he's 100% healthy. He's had 2 different injuries, ankle and hamstring. That's number 1. Number 2, the last time they tried to bring him back from these injuries, he didn't look right. He looked like he could barely move out there. It was like a one-leg quarterback. I'm worried about that again today, that maybe he doesn't have full mobility, and he's got to have it when you're playing a defense like Baltimore. So that does concern me enough to pump the brakes on the Giants, but I could understand why people are interested in taking 10. Well, it's 9.5 now, but 9.5, 10 with the Giants. They have been good road underdogs. They do get Jones back, but I don't know if I'm that interested in going against this Baltimore run that they've been on here the last few weeks. They have been playing good football. They've gotten through their COVID outbreak that they had a few weeks ago, playing really well right now. Tough to fade them. I'd lean slightly to the Giants, but just a very, very small lean there for me. C-Mac, anything for you here with Giants and Ravens?
Yeah, I like this one a little bit. Like you just talked about, Ian, I got to take 10 here with the Giants. They've been too good as a dog, double digits here. I really like 10.5. Don't love it as much, 9.5. The problem is they can't score. Hopefully Jones, that's the big question here today. Is he healthy enough, the ankle, everything he's dealing with, that they could score some points? Because I lean the under as well. Both of these were kind of my last looks today. I lean that way again. I know Baltimore's been playing better, and everyone seems like they're on Baltimore here. They'll just lay it, and they're going to win, which they might. They've been playing really good football. But the Giants' defense still is pretty solid, and that's why I kind of like the under a little bit and the points. So I definitely like the Giants. I'm going to take the 10 small bit and the under a little bit too.
Yeah, and I know the
44.
Giants didn't have a great game last Sunday night against the Browns on Sunday Night Football.
Missed opportunities.
I appreciate being aggressive as a coach and going for it, but at some point you got to take a field goal or two last week if you're Joe Judge.
Right away, the first drive, I was just dumbfounded. They have a shot to win their division. Just take the early points. I get it in the second half. Wow, that made me crazy because yeah.
Yeah, the time.
I'm going back to the well, but man, just as I say it, I'm going back to the Giants. Oh shit.
Yeah, that was a little bit peculiar to say the least. The timing of consistently going for it on fourth down inside the 10. Skee, what do you like here? Giants, Ravens.
Ravens have motivation they have to keep winning. I was trying to check the injury report right now. I checked this game out a little bit earlier in the week, and I was looking to see what was going to be up with Hollywood Brown, Marcus Peters, Jimmy Smith. But Baltimore's been playing a lot of games lately. I think this is maybe their fifth game in like a little bit over 3 weeks, or maybe about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Giants 9-1, last 10 on the road against the spread. They still have a chance at their division. So they have motivation too to play. And we know the Ravens want to run the ball, but the Giants' run defense has been solid. I would have to take the points with the Giants. I think if you're getting double digits, that looks like the play to me.
All right, liking the Giants, yeah. They've been absolutely money in this role, in this point spread range, in this point spread role on the road. So they'll be looking to be more of the same here today. Atlanta, Kansas City. This is the last early game. Kansas City 11-point home favorites, 53.5 the total in this one. KC can pretty much clinch number one seed in the AFC with a victory today. So, they'll be looking to wrap that up. I think they really want to. There's onus. Let's get it done today so that maybe we can rest Mahomes and some other key starters on both sides of the ball next week in week 17, the final regular season game. So I'd expect them to come out strong here today. Atlanta's been plucky, though. Atlanta's been feisty at times. They did cover. In fact, they were rolling over Tampa Bay in the first half last week until the Bucs finally came to life and woke up from their slumber in the second half. And the Bucs did dominate the second half to come back and win the game, although Atlanta hung on, but barely for the point spread cover last week against Tampa Bay. But I don't know. Kansas City, to me, they look focused. I was impressed with how they picked apart New Orleans last week. Really, really impressive game for the Saints, or for the Chiefs, rather, and Patrick Mahomes. But in this double-digit favorite role, Kansas City's not been quite as good. There's been a lot of situations, Denver, Carolina, games earlier this season where they were double-digit favorites and they didn't cover. So it's a lot of points to be laying. I still don't want to go against them, so it's a pass for me with a slight lean to the over in this one. C-Mac, how about you? Falcons, Chiefs.
Yeah, this one's a little bit tough, but I had to take the 11 here with the Falcons. I think it's just too many, even though the back door could be open. The only thing that drives me nuts with the Falcons is they got to score, and they did it again. The only reason I'm not taking it right now, I think it'd be a best bet, and they did it last week. Falcons first half, it won again, and then they just got destroyed in the second half. The Chiefs are so good. I'd still look at Falcons a little bit first half. You know what I mean? Here, get 6. I think that's what it's at. I have to get back to page, but I'd still look that way. I just did it with the Chiefs. You never know it then with Mahomes, how good he is. They can get out quick. But full game, I like it, and I lean the over a little bit. as long as it's under 54, like it's right now, 50, 53, 53 and a half, I think some points are scored. And if Atlanta could get that backdoor cover, I think this one just goes over.
Well, look at what we saw last week with Atlanta. I mean, how many times do you have to see this shit with the Atlanta Falcons to realize the best way to bet them if you like that side is take them in the first half? I mean, it's ridiculous with the second halves. I mean, again, last week against Tampa Bay, many times earlier this season, Dallas, Chicago, games that have cost them any chance at the playoff. Terrible second half performances dating all the way back to and this little second half swoon of theirs with bad second halves, collapses, just blown leads. It started with the Super Bowl against New England years ago. And it's been in their heads ever. It's a mental thing. It's a psyche thing with this core of players on Atlanta. Matt Ryan.
I think you're right. Yeah. My bad to cut you off. I think it's in their head that the coaches, that's on the coaching staff. That's on their, training. Yep. They're tired. They're not, that's bad. That's got to go. And it stayed with them, like you said, I think since the Super Bowl. Yeah, you're right.
It's unbelievable. The second halves continue to haunt this team. Skee, what do you think here? Atlanta, Kansas City?
Usually I would agree. It doesn't feel like it's been Falcons first half for quite a while. But the Chiefs, I mean, if they win this game, I think they're pretty set. I think they just get out and get to a lead and then kind of cruise. And I'm looking at – so I think they gave like a little bit more effort in the first half than the second. If they have a lead, I think they just kind of burn the clock. And when they're a double-digit favorite back to 2014, the under is 12-4. Falcons, the under is 8-3. I think the last 11. The thing for the Falcons, I think their O-line is a little bit hurt, and the problem with them, the only thing I hate is they just settle for too many field goals sometimes. And if you're playing against the Chiefs, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I still think the Falcons can backdoor or whatever case may be. It is a lot of points for the full game. So I like the Falcons on the full game. And I probably may look more towards under just because if the Chiefs do have that lead, I think they burn the clock.
Yeah, that's my concern with the over. It's a high total, and Atlanta's red zone efficiency, as you mentioned, Skee, hasn't always been great this year. That's for sure. Late games now, Denver and Skee's LA Chargers, who are making him disappointed, to say the least, this year. Chargers 2.5-point home favorites, 47 the total in this game. There's injuries galore going into this game. And obviously you got two teams missing the playoffs. So you wonder, where's motivation going to come from for this game? You got some key absences on offense here for the Chargers today. Obviously, Keenan Allen, top receiver, out. Hunter Henry at tight end, not going to play as well for the Chargers. It's certainly going to hurt a little bit from an offensive standpoint. It means you're going to need to get more today from Mike Williams, Jalen Guyton, who I think's had a pretty decent season at wide receiver. Austin Eckler, though, back helps there. But you could counteract that and say, from a totals perspective, you could say that's going to hurt the over in this game, those injuries. But I could very easily come right back at you and say, these injuries on defense for these teams could hurt the under. Denver's still banged up at secondary, big time, going into this game. Bradley Chubb's not going to play for the Broncos today, one of their best pass rushers. That's a concern for me. And then on the flip side, what's the one guy that's consistently got after quarterbacks this year and made an impact on defense for the Chargers? Oh, yeah, Joey Bosa. Guess who's not playing today? Joey Bosa. So where do you go if you're the LA Chargers from a defensive standpoint in terms of getting pressure on Drew Lock, who is obviously had a disappointing year? He's had little flashes. He played well for a little bit against Kansas City. He played really good against Carolina. But again, with Drew Lock, bad defenses, I think he could do some things against them. And I consider the Chargers a bad defense. And without Bosa, mobile quarterback, I think Drew Lock, even with his legs, can keep plays alive, be able to make plays throwing the football more than he did. Look, the game got away from them last week because they're banged up defense, injury-riddled secondary against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. It was just no match for that Denver defense. Buffalo went up and down the field against them last week. I think the Chargers can have success offensively against Denver's still banged up secondary, still overall injury-riddled defense. And on the flip side, I think Drew Lock, when he steps down in class against bad defenses, that's when he can do some things like he did against Carolina. Remember, he lit him up for 30 points a couple of weeks ago. So I think this total move is incorrect. I'm actually shocked it's 50 all the way down to 47 now, as low as that. I like the over earlier in the week. I've actually got stuck with a bad number here because I think I got 48.5 here. I'm seeing 47 now, but I'm going against this move. I think it's the wrong move. It was an absolute shootout in the first meeting this year between the Broncos and the Chargers, and I think we get that here. Weather won't be an issue either. Indoors in LA, that beautiful SoFi Stadium. So I like the over here with the Broncos and Chargers. Obviously, from a side perspective, I think the Chargers probably win, but you're not going to see me laying points with the LA Chargers. Simple as that. C-Mac, what do you think here? Broncos, Chargers.
Yeah, just for that, the Chargers win. They don't win by much, I don't think. So I grabbed the 3 with the Broncos. I wish I could have got a hook. 3.5 would have been really good. But I'm with you here. Usually in a second game, the first game was high scoring. But being in LA, I think it's nice. Both defenses are bad. You already talked about the secondary, Bosa's out, all this stuff. I think it's the moves going down, but I think it's wrong. I get it. It's the second game, and it's a division game in December. Usually that means under to me. You know what I mean? In some of these games we'll talk about here in a minute, I automatically think under. That's why this is going down. But I think with all the injuries and everything going on, no crowd, none of that, I think we can get over 47. You know, it was a miracle last night it got over. I saw Skee. I think
craziness at the end. Yeah.
I think this can get over because normally I'd look towards the under in the second game at the end of the year in December. I'd lean towards an under because they've already played each other. They know all that. But I'm with you. I like the Broncos +3, and I think this one creeps over the total as well.
Yeah, I'd like to know of those divisional rematch games that have stayed under, especially if the first game was lower scoring. How many of those unders from the second meeting were a bad defense on one side and a bad and injury-riddled defense on the other side? Because that's essentially what you have in this. Yeah, how many of those stayed under? I'd say not as many.
I agree. That's why.
I still like this game over. What do you think, Skee? Broncos, Chargers?
Well, I'll say first of all, I like the total more than the side. But as far as the side goes, with the Chargers, it's just crazy. You got to throw everything out. They look really, really bad all the time throughout the year, in the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year, they win the meaningless games. So I think they win just for that reason. But the total, I have to say, since Eckler's come back, I mean, even before guys are taken out of the lineup, I mean, like Keenan Allen or Hunter Henry, they just want to run the ball. They're just satisfied running the ball more and running the clock. And that's why we've seen some of these Chargers overs go to die lately. And now if you take away those other two guys, I see them just really just being super run heavy and not even just taking advantage of that Broncos secondary. So I still think they can score, but I do think the clock will be ticking. And I agree with you that the Broncos, I mean, Drew Lock versus any bad defense, he'll look pretty good. Versus better defenses, not so much. And Chargers, like you said, is a bad defense. So it's tough, but I do lean towards the under just because what I think the Chargers will do offensively.
The Chargers they're not a pace team. That's the one thing that you have to watch out for. They do churn a lot of clock with their drive. So you're going to need efficiency for the over here in this one. Yeah, for me, it's just that these defenses just stink and they're both banged up, especially Denver's. And they should be attacking that secondary. They should let Herbert throw the football a ton today. But it's Anthony Lynn. Do you trust him to do the right thing, the smart thing, the thing that most fans, armchair fans sitting in their couch can see? No, not always. Not with this coach. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out with the play calling and just the run-to-pass ratio. What do we see from the Chargers today? Because it better be more passes than runs when you got a secondary that's just absolutely just ravaged like Denver's is right now with injuries. But this is Anthony Lynn we're talking about. All right, moving on. We've got Carolina, Washington. Carolina 1-point road favorites, 42 the total in this game. A lot of movement here toward Carolina as they're now a slight road favorite in this game, which, Washington's got everything to play for. And yet here's the Panthers now showing up as a road favorite. It's pretty much all reaction to the fact that we're going to see Dwayne Haskins at quarterback. I know Smith's practicing. I don't think he's going to be back today. I think they're going to give him another week. I know he's on trajectory to return, but I don't think it's going to be today. I think it's going to be Haskins. I am looking at a situation here where I can't bet Washington with Dwayne Haskins at quarter. And I know they covered last week against Seattle in the 20-15 loss, but now they're in a position they got to win the game with this guy. I know he's playing a Carolina defense that certainly has holes in it. Can he do enough to impact that? I think there's just a ton of value on Washington. Don't get me wrong here, but I basically said earlier this season I'm really, really reluctant to bet Washington games with him at quarterback, and I still feel that way. So it's a lean slightly to Washington, but not a game I'm going to bet. Again, I thought this was a really good under game because I think the Carolina offense against this Washington, and I like Teddy Bridgewater, but I think they're going to be up against it against this Washington team. Yes, no Terry McLaurin. Thank you for reminding me. That was just announced this morning, or yesterday rather, that he's not going to play. Another huge weapon out of this Washington offense. So what's it going to be, throwing the football here for this Washington team? Is it going to be Logan Thomas, the tight end, all day, catching the football here for Washington? So there's a devoid of weapons now at wide receiver, to say the least, Washington. So I definitely think it's a low-scoring game. Problem is this total has been whacked down. It's like down to, I think, 41 in some spots now, 42 now across the board. So that's a low total, but I still lean under. And I lean Washington on the side, but that's about it. C-Mac, how about you? Carolina, Washington.
This was probably my least favorite game on the board. I know last week I plugged my nose with Haskins. They covered, luckily, or the Skins. I'd go with Carolina a little bit, but Washington's got everything to play for. The only thing I looked at kind of on this one was the under, but I just don't love it at 42 now. That was my only lean here. This game was kind of the easiest one that I kind of crossed off. I just didn't love it either way here.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. It's a compromised Washington offense today, to say the least. Ski, what about you, Carolina, Washington?
I'm not. Washington can still make the playoffs too, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everything's in front of them, yep.
Yeah, I think they have more motivation to play than Carolina. Still no McCaffrey. Maybe the players play for Ron Rivera.
Well, they are, definitely. Yep.
They've covered their past 5 games. I mean, the only way I would look at this game is to play the team that needs it the most and has motivation more than the other team, which is the football team. So that's the way I'm looking.
The football team, yeah, I would lean in that way. Again, if not for Haskins and these injuries on offense, I'd be on Washington for sure. But I do still lean there for sure. Rams and Seahawks, this should be one of the best games today, best game of the late games for sure. Division on the line, essentially. Seattle's going to win the division if they win. Rams can still win the division if they win. Seattle won 1.5-point home favorites, 47.5 the total. I have seen a lot of teams suffer really bad, embarrassing, unexplainable losses like the Rams had last week against the Jets. And I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10, that same team bounces back the next week and plays their best game of the season. And that's exactly what I see today for the LA Rams. I really believe that. And they've owned Seattle. They beat Seattle earlier this season. Sean McVay's gotten the better of Pete Carroll in recent years. It's not like it's a great spot for Seattle. They had the road win on the East Coast against Washington last week, and that wasn't a great game. Everyone's saying what a great – that was not for Seattle. They were barely hanging on at the end. The offense still isn't where it was earlier in the season. It's not been the same potent Russell Wilson attack the last few weeks for Seattle. And now they're going to have to play the Rams. Now they do come back home for this game, but again, playing on Seattle's with the no fans is just a huge advantage now for any road team. The defensive line really got pressure on Russell Wilson the first meeting. I think they'll be chomping at the bit after what happened against the Jets last week. And I will say this about Jared Goff, for as inconsistent as he is, usually when he's off a bad game, you get the good version of Jared Goff the next time out. I think you get that here. I like the Rams to win, so I'll gladly take the 1.5 here with the LA Rams in this one. Connor, what do you think? Rams Seahawks divisional battle, really a first place battle here.
Yeah, this is a big one. I think you're right. Yeah, with Goff, he's so inconsistent, and usually he does bounce back and have a better game. I see it just like the first one. The Rams have owned the Seahawks here. It's just been crazy. I'd lean the Rams. I'm still waiting on it. Seems like Seattle's taking might take a little bit more money. Maybe before kickoff. I don't know a lot. Might go to 2. But I really like the under here, 47.5. This is one of my better looks. I don't think there's a ton of scoring in this one. I could be wrong, but I think the Rams defense comes to play after what happened. And Seattle's gotten better. And the Rams at times can move it. But like you said, it's the Goff. It's the up and down. They couldn't do anything last week against the Jets, obviously. So we'll see. But Yeah, I'd lean Rams, and I like the under for sure.
It's hard to play well. No, they didn't play well. Let's state that the Rams, of course, they didn't.
Well, yeah,
but it's hard to play well when your head is not at all in the game. And that to me is what I saw from the Rams. And Sean McVay and even some of the players kind of hinted at that, like we just weren't into the game. And when you're disconnected and you just think, hey, it's going to be this easy, and that's what happens. You can sometimes get smacked down, and like the Jets did last week. But I think you get the best of the Rams today. They can win this game. By the way, they haven't lost 2 games in a row yet this season. Yeah, the Rams have not lost 2 in a row yet this season. They have always bounced back off a loss this season to this point. By the way, you mentioned the under, Connor. I'll give you a stat here. Seattle 6-0 to the under their last 6 games. Remember early in the season, a lot of high-scoring games with Seattle. 6 straight unders for them in their last 6 games. Skee, what do you like here? Rams, Seahawks.
I feel like the Rams always give the Seahawks hell, and Rams off the embarrassing loss is something, I mean, I have to look towards that way. I just don't know about – I'm not sure about golf and cold weather, but I'm looking at the Seahawks defense, and I'm not fooled. Like, people saying they're getting better, but they're just playing worse teams.
Yeah, that's true.
They play like 3 of the teams from the NFC least, and they play the Cardinals, who haven't looked good lately. So I'm not impressed by what they've done. So I would take the Rams, and I trust the Rams defense to hold them down. So Rams and under is the way I look.
All right, Rams and under for Skee as well. Last of the afternoon games, of the late afternoon games here. This is a win or go home game here in the NFC East, the NFC least. Philadelphia, Dallas. We've got the Eagles 3-point road favorites, 50-50.5 the total in this one. A lot of money on Philly. I agree. I think Philly will find a way here. Look, they fell short against Arizona last week, but they beat the Saints the week before. But both games, this offense has looked totally different under Jalen Hurts. There's confidence. There's some swagger. The O-line's blocking better. Jalen Hurts is making better decisions, is running with the football more effectively than Wentz did. Players are making more catches down the field for Jalen Hurts as well. And this Dallas defense, I'm sorry, they're still bottom tier. I mean, they gave up 30 points to Nick Mullins last week and the San Francisco. I know they won the game, but they gave up still 30-plus points to the Niners at a limited offensive football team, especially last week when they had Mullins and they didn't have George Kittle still and a bunch of weapons. So this is still a very bad Dallas defense. I think Philadelphia can run it, can throw it with success against them. The Eagles still banged up in the secondary, and one of my top plays last week was Philly, Arizona, over the total, and it was a top play because of the injuries on defense for Philly. Now, I do believe they're going to get Darius Slay back, which is going to be a big help to that secondary, but McLeod's still out. There's a couple other cornerbacks banged up. And Andy Dalton, I'll say this, he's making some throws the last few weeks, and there's still a good receiving core for the Cowboys, with Gallup and with CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, that can attack a depleted secondary. So not only do I like Philly, although it's up to -3 with juice. So I think if it goes any higher, I'd scale back, but I still, as long as it's -3 or better, I like Philly. Even more than that, I like the over here. It's gone up to 50-50.5. This should be a higher scoring game. I think we can get 35-28 or we can get 28-24, which would get you up and over the total, some kind of final score like that. It gets to the 50s, in my opinion, over the total. That's actually one of my stronger plays. Again, Eagles over, just like it was last week. C-Mac, what do you think here? Philly, Dallas.
Yeah, all those injuries, you alluded to it. I'm a little pumped. Everyone loves this over. I still like it too, just because the injuries and the Cowboys defense is bad. I think both teams can score here. We're a little worried about they know each other well. Maybe could barely slide under. But I still like the over. The first game, Cowboys lost 23-9. I think more points are scored. You said Dalton's been playing well. Cowboys have moved the ball. I just got to go, over in this one. I think, and I'm on the Cowboys. I think this should be a pick 'em. I was on him last week. I think this is like Skee was talking about the Chargers kind of win. This is like Cowboys late in the season. They grab a couple victories here and end up 6-10 or 7-9.
Good comparison.
Yeah, Philly could win, but I definitely like the 3. And if you even got 3.5, that'd be great. I don't know if it goes that way, but I like the 3 with the Cowboys. And I got to go with the over.
All right, Skee, the floor is yours. Eagles, Cowboys, what do you like?
I'm not interested in laying with whoever would be the favorite, honestly. So I would be taking the points with the Cowboys. Andy Dalton looked okay to me. And I probably would agree with you that points could be scored in this game. I know both teams' run defense is pretty bad. I just think I'd rather take the points with the Cowboys. I don't want to trust the total. I think neither team should be favored.
So lean to Dallas. Take points with two teams that are pretty much on similar, even parallels, I guess you could say, the Eagles and the Cowboys. So yeah, my thinking with Philly, and again, I like the total a lot more than the side, but my thinking with liking Philly is Dallas's wins were Cincinnati and San Francisco with Mullins, and I don't credit them too much for either of those wins. If they win today, I'll give them a lot more credit, but should be a good one because the winner is going to at least stay alive, not get in, but at least stay alive to next week. The loser is definitely out. So a big game there, Eagles, Cowboys. Sunday Night Football, another big game here. Tennessee and Green Bay. We've got the Packers. I know Razor's been waiting all show to talk us to talk about this game. Green Bay -353, the total in this one. Total's coming down. And I know there's a chance of maybe a couple flurries, maybe some moderate wins in Lambeau tonight, which I think is impacting that a little bit. But you're not going to see me betting an under with these two teams. How many weeks in a row have I said with Tennessee over the total? And again with Detroit last week, game flew over the total. I didn't even have to sweat it late in the. I think it got over it was a high total too. It was like 53, and it got over the total by early fourth quarter. Tennessee's not an under team for me, and even though there might be some wins. Look, this is the ultimate matchup for Tennessee's offense against this Green Bay defense, which I'm still not sold on because they've still got a suspect run defense. And if Derrick Henry gets going, running that football, and it just opens everything up for Ryan Tannehill down the field to Brown and Davis, Humphreys, Jonnu Smith, all those receivers and tight ends, and they can have great success because Tannehill's been better even when Henry's been neutralized. But when you can unleash the beast that is Derrick Henry against a team that can't stop the run consistently, it just takes this Tennessee offense to a whole new level. So I think they're going to score their points. Tennessee with a win can clinch the division, but they still have to clinch a playoff spot as well, the Titans as well. So actually they did clinch a spot last. No, they didn't because Miami won. Yes, Miami won last night. So Tennessee still has to win in order to clinch a playoff spot. And obviously they have to win and get some help with the Colts losing. They win and the Colts lose to the Steelers, then they would clinch the division. So that's the scenarios for Tennessee. If they win, they're in the playoffs. If they win and the Colts lose today, they're division winners, AFC South division champs. So big game, obviously, for Tennessee. Lots on the line, but there's a lot on the line for Green Bay, too, and Aaron Rodgers. They're still trying to keep pace with New Orleans for the number one seed in the NFC, which is the only team that gets a bye now to the divisional round of the playoffs. They want that home field. Rodgers has talked about it in the media. We want to play our home games at Lambeau. We haven't had that opportunity the last few years. We really want that opportunity. So you got two teams where motivation, and I know Skee's mentioned motivation in a lot of his breakdowns today. Motivation won't be an issue for either of these teams. It's just who do you think has the better matchup advantage? I took points with Tennessee here because, again, I think they keep it close. They can run the football with Henry, which is I think they'll have a ton of success doing that. And obviously, from a totals perspective, I'm betting it. I've bet this every week with Tennessee. We are going over the 53 as well with the Titans and the Packers. Would be very surprised if we don't get at least to a 31-24 type of game here in this one. C-Mac, what's your thoughts here? Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know as long as the wind stays under 20, that it's not crazy snow, whatever, sleet. I think it gets over. These are both their weaknesses. The Packers run defense and the Titans pass. They can't, Rodgers should just be able to have a field day. I'd be surprised if it doesn't get over too. It's high. Every time I start getting you talking 54, 55s, but not with this Titans team because I think the Packers get theirs. I'm a little bummed I didn't get this early. I would have loved to got a 4 or 3.5 with the Titans. I still like him +3. Some people I know like Green Bay first half. I think Green Bay wins this. It's close. This is like a push. This is maybe a couple-point game. We'll see. The Titans, to me, though, they played well in some big games, and they've had some flops. I think they'll be able to run it. That's why this one won't be a flop as much. Yeah. You know what I mean? They'll be able to dictate with Henry on the ground, just keep feeding him the rock. And Tannehill's got that crazy record, 29 and 4 to the over, whatever it is that I keep hearing about. So, yeah, I lean Tennessee in the points. I just wish it was over 3. Now I kind of missed it, but I got to lean with the over as well. I'd get it before 54 at 53.5 right now.
Yeah, it is going to be cold. It is going to be cold, but it's not going to be extreme cold, like where you can barely feel your hand. It's going to be cold. Don't get me wrong, but again, I'm always in that boat where cold. I'm not interested in the belief and the mindset and I think the old wives' tale out there, the fables, the fairy tales, as I like to say, that cold keeps games under the total. I don't think so. Wind does. Wind does, and that's about it. Maybe driving rain does. Like if it's pouring, piss down here, like it was with New England, Baltimore earlier this season. Extremely heavy rain, wind. That's all that keeps games under the total. That's where weather impacts games staying under the total. Light rain doesn't. Cold doesn't. Snow doesn't. Honestly, snow doesn't, because actually could increase scoring because you got defenders slipping and sliding all over the place trying to cover receivers down the field. So that's just my, from handicap.
And as long as it's
for 10 years, real quick, covered, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, when it stays under 20 miles an hour, that's all I meant to add. That usually you're good. It started when you get at the 30, the 40, stuff like that. That's all. Thanks, bro.
I would say 20 is the cutoff point. 20 miles per hour. I'm still not totally concerned with the wind, but when you get above that, then you start getting a little worried that wind could impact the scoring. So it looks like the winds aren't going to be that high. It's going to be cold, chance of a couple flurries. But yeah, to me, that is still a weather forecast that would not get me off of betting the over in this game personally, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Ski, what do you like here? Sunday Night Football.
I got involved with the Titans on this game. I got +3.5,
nice.
And I see, is it +3, +100? I still think that's solid. I think the Titans have a chance to win this game. I know the Packers have been good off against the spread. Lost this year 13-3 after that against the spread, but that run defense is just so bad that it's hard not to see Derrick Henry just running all over them all game long. And I agree, Packers can take advantage of Titans secondary. But I just see Derrick Henry running in that snow, keeping the game close. If you give me points in this game, I think it could be a field goal type game where Titans can even win. So I like the Titans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Derrick Henry, when he can run and have success against a weak run defense, that's when Tennessee is absolutely at their best. And I think they've got a chance as well. I mean, I think I locked in on Thursday +3.5, -120. So even got the hook on Tennessee at the plus number. So very, very good timing there. But even +3 still widely available at +100, as Ski said. So good price there with that one. All right, Monday Night Football, and then we'll get to best bets. Of course, we'll save best bets to the end of the show since we'll be off before the game start. We've got Buffalo, New England, Monday Night Football. It's been a one-way freight train, guys, with the line movement in this game. I haven't met or talked to anybody like in New England here in this game. Buffalo opened 4.5 up to 7. 46.5 the total. Patriots, of course, eliminated from the playoffs. And a lot of their veteran guys, well, the few that they still have on this team, they're having a hard time coming to grips with it. When you're not used to, playing these meaningless games late in December, it's hard. When you're used to being a playoff team every year, obviously now that's not going to be the case for the Patriots. It's the same old issues for them. Their defense has been admirable at times this year, but the offense is limited. Cam Newton has not been the answer. In fact, I'd be surprised if they bring him back next year at this point. They've got to look up in another direction. I think they're better off just giving Stidham some starting opportunity. At least see what you got in the guy, because he's got more a chance to be part of your future at this point than Cam Newton. But that's not my decision. That's Hoodie's decision. We'll have to wait and see what he decides to do there in that one. The question is for Buffalo. Okay, you clinched the division last week with the win against Denver. Are you fired up to come out and play and finish the season strong? Every quote, including from McDermott and the players, says we care. We want to finish strong. We want to play well here in these last two games. And with New England just beating down every team in this division for years, Buffalo's now got the chance to sweep this team 2-0 against them this year. I still think that alone keeps the Bills fired up for this football game on Monday night. So I don't know if I'd lay the 7, but I've got the Bills in a bunch of teasers. They are an excellent teaser option in my mind, down to -1. I do think they win the game. Just a question of, do they cover now laying 7? That could go either way in my mind. Connor, what's your thoughts here? Bills Patriots on Monday night.
You nailed it. I like the teaser. And now that it's at 7, I just would like it if it was 6. Like the division's won. How much are they going to be up for this game? And all the talking I don't love. New England's at home. Belichick, if this gets higher, it might be a look, but the Patriots just kind of looked so bad here the last few weeks, phoning it in. Cam Newton can't throw it. The defense just has holes. They're injured. They're just not a good football team. I think waiting for the season to get it. And you mentioned Stidham you should just bring him in to see what to throw it around a little bit in this game. It depends how Buffalo wants to come in and just take it to him and into him. And they've looked great, but this could be a flat spot where New England's always played him tough. I think earlier in this year it was a 3-point game. I have to double check on that, but I think it was 24-21. So I'd watch this one. I like the teaser just to win the game. I like the Bills. And real quick, Johnny Cardone, Titans rushing prop. I don't know what their whole thing is, but I think Henry's 22.5. I'd lean towards the over on that prop. I think it's 22.5. I was seeing it
they'll
earlier.
give him the ball a lot. They'll give him the ball a lot. Rushing yards, certainly. I mean, you're not going to ever get a bargain with Derrick Henry over rushing yards, but you got to pick your spots against the weak teams against the run to do it, to bet it. This might be that time to do it. Ski, Monday Night Football, Bills Patriots.
No Gilmore, no defense. I'm not interested at all either with Cam Newton. Like he looked okay for like a couple of weeks and then just went right back down to the level where I thought he was at. So I'm not backing the Patriots. I agree. That's why the line is going so crazy. It'll be Bills or nothing for me. Not a game I'm really crazy about right now, but that's the only way I would look.
Bills team total over might be the best way to go because I don't know what New England's going to do on offense, but the Bills against they just haven't been stopped, Buffalo's offense in recent weeks against this New England team. And as you mentioned, Stephon Gilmore, you erase him from this defense, and boy, all of a sudden Allen could throw to anybody he wants to against that Patriots secondary. So that might be something to consider for that game. Before we get to best bets, because we were talking a little NBA before the show, and don't forget, Monday and Wednesday this week, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, NBA closing time. It'll be all three of us tomorrow on the show for the Monday edition, 4 p.m. Eastern, breaking down the NBA card. We'll talk Monday's card. We may look ahead to Tuesday as well, since we're not on with maybe the marquee games on Tuesday. So looking forward to that tomorrow. But NBA bets that I'm on, and we have agreement, I think, Ski and I, on a couple of these. I like the Celtics today. I like the Pelicans today. I like the Mavs today. I like the Bucks today laying the big number. And I like the Warriors, and the fade Bulls train continues for me. Ski, NBA, what do you like today?
I like some of the ones you played, but one that I'll give the Pelicans and the Spurs over. I think the Spurs aren't going to play much defense versus anybody, and they still don't play defense on second and back-to-back. So I'll take the over.
Taking the over. Yeah, and that was a game I didn't bet from a totals perspective because I'm certainly looking to bet San Antonio overs. I'm also looking to bet Pelicans unders, so it was a conflict for me because Van Gundy's been drilling defense, and they actually have gone 2-0 to the under so far, the Pelicans. But you're right, San Antonio might drag that into a bit of a up and down affair. C-Mac, what did you look at for NBA today?
I liked a lot of you guys did. I like that over. Ski just said the 228. I like the Pelicans. I like Golden State. Here's one. I like Milwaukee. I think it's 12.5. I don't like laying it too much, but I think the Knicks are really bad.
They should.
I think they should. So we'll see. And I this one's a good one. The Kings have played well, so I kind of look at them a little bit. We'll see if they can do it here. So just a few. I'll put some out on Twitter here in a little bit. So
they've got some talent. They've got some scoring. You know, if you're Luke Walton, get the hell out of the way. You know, that's always what I worry about with Sacramento, him screwing that thing up. But nevertheless, there we go with our NBA best bets. Now NFL for this Sunday, December 27th edition. Ski, we'll start with you. Best bet NFL.
Tennessee Titans. I think they have a chance to win that game, like I said. So if you can get plus 100 still with the +3, I think that's very good. Give me that one.
All right, +3 with the Tennessee Titans. Sunday Night Football, best bet from Ski. Connor, what do you like?
I like the under in the Rams Seahawks, 47.5. I think it's just a lot like their other games, just slow. This is going to be a good one. Good defenses, especially the Rams. I think the Seahawks aren't as great like Ski's talking about, but I think this one can stay under. And let me hit the sponsors real quick. If you need a book, go to mybookie.ag. 50% off credit debit, and then 100% off if you do Bitcoin. So you put 1,000, they give you 1,000. Just mybookie.ag, promo code PubSports. And if you need an app, get an app. Download Wolf Spreads. We only got 2 weeks left, so get in right now. You get 2K. You can bet on all the games, couple games. Take underdogs, and you get first place. You win by the end of the week, you get a bunch of PSR Pub Sports Radio merch. So we got hats, shirts, sweatshirts, all that good stuff. So just put Pub Sports Radio Battle Royale, and you can download that app and just hit that and you'll be in. It's super fun. And lastly, hit bulk supplements. Hit promo code Pub Sports. You get 10% off your order. Get jacked up for not the fall anymore, but the winter. We're heading off. Fall is done. I got to get that fall out of here for the winter, baby. Get jacked.
See, the thing, Big Show's got a good question. Who tries to control the ball here in the Tennessee-Green Bay game? To be honest with you, they both could, in my opinion, but they're both defenses that if you look at the stats, in terms of explosive plays allowed, Tennessee and Green Bay are bottom half of the NFL in terms of explosive plays allowed. So that's why, and that's what I look for with some of these overs and these high totals. Can you get the explosive plays? Like, I know they're going to run the football a lot with Henry, for instance. Of course they will. But Henry's good enough to get these 40-yard run plays against this defense, I think, tonight, with just how poor they've been run. So all of a sudden, yeah, they try to control the clock and the ball. But when you're getting 40-yard runs, all of a sudden you're right there and knocking on the door of scoring. So that's what I could see happening here.
For sure. And Rodgers, I think, is going to be able to throw it on them. The Titans just have a bad secondary. Their defense, they played well, but against bad teams the last few weeks. And you nailed it. That run defense for the Packers, it's not going to take them places if they want to win the Super Bowl. They need to shore it up, or I think it'll be tough for them to get to the Super Bowl for sure.
I'm over here last second stressing about a fantasy championship. So sorry, guys. I'm trying to see who I'm putting in.
You're in it, Ski. You're in it. That's sick. At least you're in it. I'm out.
At least you're stressing about it in week 16 instead of out of it. So that's you got to look at it that way. 100%. Yeah. All right, guys. That's it. That's a wrap. We'll be back tomorrow on the air with you right here on Pub Sports. NBA tomorrow on the show, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. NBA closing time will be on Monday and Wednesday this week with that show. So join us for that. We'll be back next Sunday. 11:30 or I might probably go back to noon next week, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific with the closing time show. Week 17 edition. That's going to be a minefield. It's all about who's in, who's out, who cares. That's what week 17 handicapping is all about. We'll be there next week for that. For Connor, for Ski, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Good luck with all of your wagers in the NFL. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you tomorrow on Monday for the NBA closing time show. Have a good Sunday, everybody.